Everyone, my name is Mamoha Ngosi, and this is Think Like the Wealthy podcast. And today I have my mentor as a guest who has now become a friend because we speak the same language. Her name is Genevieve Jack. I always get fascinated by how your story started. Working from Shoprite and eventually achieving your economic freedom. Yeah, actually. Okay, so tell us, how did your journey start? First of all, welcome.
Thank you so much. It is absolutely good to be here, my friend. The mentor bit, I like that because it's history. It's part of our history.
Oh, yeah.
But friend is our current.
Yes, definitely.
So going back to my career, well, I finished school a very long time ago. A lot of people wouldn't see that. In fact, I was taking bloods yesterday and somebody's like, are you sure this is the right age that you wrote here? So back in when I finished,
you look 18.
I love it. Keep going. Back when I completed school, we were literally just a few years into democracy.
Okay, yeah.
And so at that time, coming from what we called Bantu education into going into the workplace, I didn't know what I didn't know. So my first job was being a cashier at Shoprite Checkers, together with being a cleaner at a different company.
So you had two jobs?
So I was running two jobs because they were both part-time jobs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And in those part-time jobs, I also was very much a dedicated, not that I'm not a dedicated Christian today, but very much a dedicated Christian that wore long skirts.
Oh,
so when the skirts got old, I used to cut them up. I was also an entrepreneur, put a little elastic in it, and I would sell scrunchies to all the ladies that were in church. So I was running multiple business, multiple stream of income, not realizing it.
Not even knowing that you're doing that. Oh, wow.
100%. So this is where my journey started. And I found at that particular point in my life, I didn't know where to from here. But what I did know is that if I woke up and put one foot in front of the next, I'm going to get to what my next looks like, and therefore just keep pushing.
Okay, so it was the thinking, but no proper structure.
There was no structure.
Yeah.
No structure at all. I didn't have an example of who my next or who my mentor would be there. This is the late 1990s. So at that time, there was no Google to help us structure what is our next goals. There was no Siri. We couldn't just say, hey, Siri. There was no Chat GPT to say, hey, Chat GPT, you know. So at that particular time, all I knew was we would watch TV, and TV would show us this luxury, this awesome, beautiful blue pools, wonderful sea
from
and
the
whatnot.
And the beautiful,
you know, from Santa Barbara and from Dallas. The things we shouldn't have watched. And I knew at that time when I sat and watched this, I thought, if where I've come from a highly dense environment. There's lots of people. There was gangsterism was rife. Teenage pregnancy was rife. Everything that could play against me as a young girl was rife from where I came from. So I didn't have anywhere or anyone to emulate. I would go to church. I would look at the ladies in church. God bless them. I just thought, I'm not ready to be a wife, because a lot of them are like, you know, all about being a wife and everything. And I'm like, And then the age gap was also too big for me to want to emulate where they were. I knew I'd want to get there eventually. So I would ask myself questions like, where to from here? But if I wake up tomorrow and I've got different ways to earn a bit of money and how to earn a bit of money, what could I do differently? And I remember coming home, we used to find work in the junk mail.
Oh, yes, I remember.
We'd open the junk mail and I would go through to find work. And there was something called au pairing. And I thought, a nannying overseas. How would I get overseas? So in my mind, I was like, how would I even get overseas? But I remember going to this workshop, what we would now call a free seminar. I went to this workshop and they spoke about au pairing. And I remember thinking, I would love to go to the Netherlands. I have no idea why the Netherlands. But in my mind, it just seemed like it was a fair place to go. And when I did my research, I came home. I said, Mama, I'd like to au pair in the Netherlands. She's trying to understand au pair. What is au pair? So with that, there was a lot of things that I would try and look for. What could be my next while working at Shoprite, while being a cleaner, and having my little entrepreneurial business by selling scrunchies. And then I added in being a babysitter. Because au pairing required some experience.
Exactly.
So in my mind already, before they ask me what's experience,
at least you already have.
Yes. Okay. So it was things like that where I found material at that time. How am I going to win? And that's how I found a way to win, to understand in my young age, without Google, without Siri, who I love right now. How could I do things differently? And how could I pivot from where I am?
Oh, nice. That's interesting. But none of your parents were entrepreneurs or were entrepreneurial in any way?
No,
just
my mom's a nurse.
Came from you.
Yes, so my mom was a nurse. My dad was a plasterer in construction.
Oh, wow.
My brother was a welder, so he worked with his hands. My sister is a nurse. So in the space of where we are in the immediate family, there wasn't anyone showing entrepreneurial skills. But I knew in the flats where we came from, people would sell popsicles, they would sell popcorn. So if you sell something, what we now call a low-hanging fruit, back then, it was commodity that would move.
Yes.
So I thought, if I make a scrunchie in church, the ladies like ponytails, they like buns, then they will put these beautiful... What if I cut my skirts and do that? And that's how my business grew within selling scrunchies. And then it moved to hairbands because some of them wanted a matching hairband to go. So I had to find a way, how do I make a hairband now?
And you had to teach yourself to do that.
And open the newspaper and also open a magazine because at the time, at the time there was these other sewing magazines. You'd open the magazine and a pattern would fall out of there.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
So that's how I found a way to win, because while I was babysitting and doing that locally to the city that I was staying in, the family that I did that for had magazines from here to where and back.
Okay.
And I looked for a sewing or a U magazine, or there was another name. I can't remember what that other one was. Glossy though. And I thought, if I can find a headband sewing pattern, I could win with this.
And you did it.
And I did. So I made matching scrunchies and I made matching hairbands. And that led me to talking about it with the people that I was babysitting their kid. And the lady said, oh, my mom works at a material shop. So there's a lot of scraps that they end up throwing away. Would you like some of that? Maybe it could be handy. And then I'm like,
of course.
Yes. And that tells me in today's world, talking to people about the things that you're doing, growing your business, they can be the one that's connecting you to your next. At the time I was young, I didn't understand that I was being connected to the next person that was going to help me.
And the other lesson is that you have to search for knowledge. I mean, there was no Google and everything, but you have this nagging question to say, how do I do this? But as universe will always answer that question, you found a way to find a solution and then put it into action.
100%.
So there is nothing that you might have a question on, particularly that's going to move you forward, that you can't find an answer, especially now in this day and age of technology and Siri.
and even, funny story, just this morning I was brainstorming something, but when I was driving here, I thought, obviously I'm not going to be typing anything, right? The conversation you heard me saying goodbye to just now was ChatGPT, the voice audio, when I was sharing ideas. So I call it having workshops with ChatGPT.
Are you serious?
I was having a workshop, a booming workshop. So when I left home to where I am now, 40 minutes later, there's a solid idea of what I'm going to be able to kick off because I had a conversation. So yes,
Oh,
searching
my
for
gosh.
knowledge blows our mind. Back then, it was a matter of opening that magazine, opening that junk mail.
Wow. Okay, anyway. I read about your story, you and your husband, because you are in business together, right?
Correct.
That you had lost 5 million, and then you were actually in debt in 5 million rands in debt.
Correct.
And then you not only were able to dig yourself out of that, you have created a thriving business from having learned those lessons. Tell us about that.
So to share the lessons, I'm going to have to share the journey to that debt. So remember, we've been talking about how are you growing, working small little nyana jobs and whatnot. Eventually in corporate South Africa, we both, my husband and I, individually in our own right, worked our way up the food chain.
Okay.
And at a point before leaving work, I was managing and overseeing over 300 people.
Sorry, are you both out of corporate space?
Correct.
You have fired your bosses,
so to speak.
Oh wow! So they have both achieved economic freedom. Unbelievable.
We've done it as a household.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty of doing it together with your partner, if they've got the same vision, is that you get there with support, not necessarily faster, but you get there with support. Because when you're on a journey on your own and your partner is not journeying that journey, you miss that support, I could assume. There'll be some days when I come up with a concept and I come to this person that might not know what I'm talking about. They're not going to see what I see. So I'm blessed to have that support. So having worked up corporate South Africa, we had worked ourselves into really good jobs. So we were able to borrow money. Yeah. So we had from a diaper business, car rental, a lot of different businesses. And we realized with the car business, we were accumulating, depreciating assets. So the word assets shouldn't even be next to it. But nevertheless, they were all depreciating. And we at the time tried to wonder, how would we get to our next? But during that time, all the chickens got a flu. And we had a staggered approach of about 20,000 per week. We had contracts and things like that in place. So when we thrived in the business. But when the chickens got sick, eventually the vet there in Limpopo, because we had it in Bella Bella, our farm. And the vet in Limpopo came to do a post-mortem on the chicken. And because the chickens were dying, they literally, one morning we woke up and there was like 100 chickens dead. By lunchtime, there were almost up to 1,000 dead. They were just dropping. The vet did a post-mortem, and I'll never forget this, not from a hurt point of view, but from a point of view of, I did not want to eat chicken for a long time after that, because the vet charged us 750 rand for a post-mortem to understand what was going on with the chickens.
750 rand.
Imagine. And then I thought to myself, Nando's, chicken licking. Oh, I didn't want to see them, and my husband loves chicken. So for a hot minute, I did not eat chicken because I was like, every time I looked at a chicken, 750. And I got stuck there for a while, mind you. But fast forward, a lot of the chickens we had to burn, because if we had to sell them, firstly, that would be unethical. Secondly, people that are well in their bodies would get the flu, and people that were unwell in their bodies that have got an ailment of sorts would get even more sick. So on so many levels, we did not want to cross over the lines.
So you had to burn the ones that were still alive?
No, we had to burn all the chickens that died, because eventually there was a knock-on effect to many of the chickens that we had dying. Then we had to clear out the chicken coops. And for 6 weeks, there was no activity. So imagine selling 20,000 chickens per week. And there's a staggered approach of these broilers. So the staggered approach affected many of them. And that was just a component, and 5 million later.
How were you not in depression because of
Oh no, I visited there because I would not, I would like to paint it pretty, but I can't.
So you when you were busy calculating, you found out that you actually owe 5 million rands.
And that was after the fact. And when you sit and you say, my whole life has just crumbled down to this. Because again, we sit and we think, how will we overcome this number we've never seen? And so with that, we sold off the farm. That reduced it. We looked at our personal budgets and said, what is
you
necessary?
You still had your jobs?
Yes. Yes, we still had our jobs. But at that time, we were also pivoting into property. So we were crossing over at that time. So yes, we still had our jobs. And I remember just sitting, and at home, my husband would say something, man, he could have just said, close the door. Why did you mean it was close the door? Because everything
was getting to you guys.
And then I want to just call it the wisdom that was placed into my husband. He one day said, okay, Jen, we're going to have to figure things out. So he booked a boardroom at the office that he worked in and said, when you finished with work down the road, come up the road to this boardroom and let's have a conversation. So what he did was he neutralized our ground. Home is supposed to be a safe space. Now even the door, the wind blew the curtain. People are going to be dead now, And I remember him and I sitting in the boardroom.
Sorry, he booked the boardroom just for the two of you?
Yes. Where he worked to have this conversation. He found neutral ground. And the beauty that came out of there is if you're in a struggle, find neutral ground. At home, it's supposed to be safe, but suddenly it feels like it's not safe. At work, you're looking at it as this is your boss's time. You're not going to be messing with your boss's time. But because he, at that time, was able to book a boardroom at the work that he had late in the evening, sign me in legally and whatnot, we had an absolute neutral ground. And in a space just like this, there was a flip chart, and we wrote and we checked and we did and we left that place. Potentially was past 11. And I remember crying, all my tears finished there. I cried everything that,
because when you just feel like get back to work.
Yeah, everything that was in me, it just came out all there. Same with him. And we drove individually back home. But when we got home, because of the break away from each other, the crying that happened there, and now thinking, how do we work the plan? We went back there 3-4 days later, and then we started working the plan. Is DSTV full bouquet necessary? We've got two little kids. So compact. So from 1,000 to 400 or something like that. Then line item by line item in each of our budgets.
So you worked your budget line by line.
Line by line. I want to almost quote the Bible, line by line, precept upon precept. We worked each line to see how best do we work with what we have.
And how much did you come to that you could pull out of all these items?
I would want to give you a wonderful figure right now, but at the time it was solving the problems we had at that time. Because what also you need to remember is that more often we look to outside of us. What can I do outside of us? And I'm thankful to God then we looked at each other and said, okay, we need to get out of this.
Will come here.
It has to. And we also have to look at what we've got. Because if we don't look at what we got, we constantly look outside. We're looking outside of who we are for a solution. So if we manage what we have, because coming from a space of not having financial literacy, you learn at school maths went to a place, accounting went to a standard, right? And you just know the basic economics of getting done going. I'm going to save for this holiday, 5,000 is the goal. We save 5,000, whoops, we go on a holiday. But to come out of something like that, you had to look first inside. What can we do better with what we have?
Before
we look outside, because you remember, or not remember, you must think of this. Sometimes we look outside of each other, outside of ourselves. We go and we find a side hustle. The money comes in. but we don't tell the money where to go.
Yeah, and you still have the same old habits.
Exactly.
So you still squander it if you're not planning properly for it.
Correct.
And that's so how impressed.
Yeah, and that's how we gave birth to this book. We literally wrote, or should I say my husband poured his soul out. I had to go through this and say, okay, cool, let's correct the timeline here. Let's add this in here. Let's remove this as TMI or whatever the case is. And with this, I'm wanting to say, if any one of your listeners are in trouble, first look at what you have, because you cannot go out and make more money and not give direction to that money that's going to come in. Because when the money comes in, it will be like water and go through your fingers.
Definitely.
So when you fine tune what you have, when that money comes in, it's got a destination where it's going. So I want to bless somebody in your space with this particular book. Look at somebody who's going through something rough to encourage them that they too can, from wherever they are,
dig themselves out.
100%. Sure. And it would be a miss or remiss for me not to add, depending on your faith. If it wasn't for God, shame, I don't know if this book would have been written. I don't think we would be where we are today, because eventually everything that we did and re-engineered, we had to give it to God in prayer. And he was able to multiply what we had. So this is to somebody in your space that you believe would be a beneficiary to get themselves to the next.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like the fact that, and this is a lesson that we also must not miss, that our struggles eventually actually have a purpose.
Yes.
So that person who's going to be the beneficiary of this book, God had them in mind when you guys were struggling with chickens, so that when you recover from that, you can produce something that is going to be able to help them.
100%.
So I think that should actually encourage that person to say, whatever they're going through, it is for a purpose. They might not know what it is, but yeah, it is. Yeah, it looks like we're having a motivational session here. So yeah, the financial freedom part is the one that interests me, because I'm struggling to get myself into that space as well. So I want to know, did you guys also sit down and plan that, okay, we're going to be economically free in 20 or 19, whatever, I don't know how long ago was this, 2020, or like, and how much is it going to take, all of that. So yeah.
In the blue sky world, I want to start off there. In the blue sky world, we did have these goals. But at the time for me, I was still so fixated on, I've come from being poor. I've raised up to where I am for my level of comfort. I won't say that I went on shopping sprees or stupid things like that. I'll call it stupid because I really still don't connect on shopping sprees. I'm one of those people that if I see something and it fits me, I want 5 colors, I'm done with shopping. Shop, let's go. Yeah. Right? So I didn't misuse money, if I have to look at it in that way or share with it in that way. But what I did say is, I do think it would feel so much better is that even if money comes in and there's neutral ground after everybody that has been paid, and I don't get phone calls. That was my first thought. This is where I would like to be. And with the plan that we had worked out, we had dates, but as life would have it, shame the dates went like this, it did that. People got sick. My mother-in-law got really ill at one given point. Life lifed. So at the end of the day, we said, hey, this date. When we looked again, it was 2.5 years later, and we thought, yo, guys, though. But the fact that we didn't give up. So if you're in a space of looking for what does economic freedom look like, I've got a goal that turned 3 years old this month. I want to call it that. And I remember having this conversation with God, but hi, I really thought I was doing really well with this particular goal. What is the point of all of this waiting? And I was frustrated. And then I realized days later, reading the Bible, searching for answers, it's in the fine tuning of who we are. So when the blessing does come, how is it going to land? So many of us look at a certain date and we say, this is what we want. It's a hard, fast date. And then we get there and we're so demotivated, we drop everything.
Thank you for saying that, because that's one of the things that has been sitting horribly with me, that I wanted to have achieved economic freedom on such and such a date, but it's not. Life is lifing.
Yes, lives. But the one thing is that I learned from that, we had dates, yes. We had a budget, yes. There was once upon a time, my husband and I would say, he'd say, I just want us to go out with the kids. And then my fangs would come, or my claws would come out. I'm like, what do you mean you want to go out with the kids? This budget that we put together. Come on, my guy. He says, baby, even for ice cream at McDonald's. And I calmed down. I had to calm down, and I thought, ice cream at McDonald's, guys.
That's not going to break
the bank. And we went to Clearwater one day. The kids played in the free area. They came back, and they ate that ice cream with such vigor in there, but they did not know where we were going, because we first fed them before we left home. We gave them dinner. They were very happy that after dinner, we're going to go out somewhere. They played in that McDonald's situation, and we ate ice cream because they were, this ice cream is so nice. Till we got home, we didn't even finish that 50 Rand.
Oh, wow.
And then I thought, I shouldn't be so hard on things. And then TJ said to me, yes, babe, sometimes you can be a bit much. But it's good that you also like that we also bring balance to each other. And so our dates, the monies came in, our things leveled out, the kids got their ice cream. And then it went from ice cream to a meal. And we still kept it at McDonald's. Why? The kids are small. We can get away with saying, we're going to McDonald's, Pella. You know the kids. Back at the ranch. We're also managing our own expectations. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So when it comes to economic freedom, I want to encourage you and your listeners that the dates will change. The line is not
to take a breath at it.
A deep breath. The line will not be straight. Because give me that person whose line was straight and they met the date, or they came under the. There are people like that. I want to think in life they are anomalies. They are what we should strive for. Because if we don't have the goal in place and we don't have the date in place, whatever doesn't get measured
doesn't get done.
You see, I didn't even have to say anything. She knows the lesson already. And in fact, I'm inspired by your book, because this is also what you relate in the book about how we think. And that's where the wealthy think. If we do not measure what we are doing, we're not going to get to a destination. And in fact, our destination changes, because we look at it in one way. And then life, when it's finished lifing, we look at the destination and we think, okay. And
and the other thing, sorry.
No, that's fine.
The other thing is that I've realized that because we are intentional about our journeys, we learn, we grow, and whatnot, and forget that by that time that date comes, you are essentially a different person.
100%.
And therefore, things don't look the same the way they used to previously. And I think this is also a lesson to me to be flexible to that, to say, okay, how do we then accommodate the new dream, if I may, because now it's a new date, you've moved the goalpost a bit, but
100%.
you are a different person.
You are a different person. The meaning of your goal now sits differently.
Exactly.
The meaning of the goal has evolved in and of itself. And I remember this takes me back to this book here where it says, be the first millionaire in your family. When we sat down and we again did the maths in a boardroom far away from home. And I liked that my husband found neutral ground. Because when you are neutral ground, it is so different to when you're at home. Because when you're at home, you're looking, the dishwasher, it's got rust now. I'm just calling whatever. The vacuum is not vacuuming the way it's so. You're looking at the dishes. These children didn't wash it. You're so irritated and distracted with what's happening around you that it's like that moment is stolen away from you to dream. So with that, my sister and friend, I would like to bless your assistant, Tebogo, with this particular book. And in his financials that he's busy studying right now, may he take some lessons in here and take what he's learning so that he could pivot and perhaps he could be the first billionaire, because now we want to talk bigger numbers. Be the first billionaire in your family. So this would be for your assistant, Tebogo. I bring many tidings.
It's very, very nice today. I'm enjoying this show. Okay, I think we're not going to finish. So let me just try and, wrap up. But before you go, and I ask everybody this question because our podcast is Think Like the Wealthy. So how do you define thinking like the wealthy for yourself and your family? Because essentially you work as a team. And how are you pursuing that?
I define it outside of money. And the reason I define it outside of money, I grew up.
It's easy for you. Money is no longer an issue for you anymore. So
I like the way she said it. Money will still be an issue for anybody, but I'll tell you why I define it that way. It takes me back to my days of daydreaming. I was a daydreamer when I was younger. I stayed in a block of flats. There were 12 flats going across, and there were 10 floors going up, and there were 3 of those buildings. We had a small clinic. We had a park. The park had 4 swings, 1 merry-go-round, and 1 seesaw.
Yeah.
So I used to sometimes think, if I go to the park now, how long am I going to wait in the line to jump on that seesaw? Because there's 3 of these blocks I've just shared with you. We stayed on the 8th floor, and I remember sitting on the 8th floor, and I would think, I wonder what the wealthy would do now if money was taken away from them. If money had nothing to do with wealth. At that time, I didn't realize the questions I'm asking myself.
Hey, I'm also shocked.
And I looked around and I remembered the thing that was a source of we had money now was Baker's All Sorts biscuits. It's now Christmas. It's the end of year.
Yeah.
We got Baker's All Sorts.
Oh, the one that comes in a big box with different...
And it has to be the big box. Then it tells me, now, surely my mother's got bonus.
We are rich.
Now we are rich. You know what I mean? So I looked at different things like that in the house, and I saw they came up periodically. And at that young age, I cannot tell you what age it was. I didn't even know what I was already daydreaming into tomorrow. I realized that if I have these things consistently and it doesn't become like, I long for that, then I'd be wealthy. So my idea of wealth from a young child was the anomalies that came up in my life, if they were a constant. And I got there. Then I was introduced to a little bit more finer foods, and I was introduced to a lot of different things like traveling. When I au paired, I stayed with a family that stayed in that area in Rotterdam. And I remember they're like, it would be so nice if we go to Denmark for the next few days. Because my head and where I am, I'm forgetting physically I'm in the Netherlands. My head is telling me I'm in South Africa. And I'm thinking, Denmark. My head must even go up like this to look at the map. And then something would just pull me back. No, actually, it's just here. We can drive, and we drove there. And then I'm like, I like this. Then I want this to be a bit more normal. And that's how wealth in my mind from a young girl was defined. So right now, even when we do something silly with the budget, because we still do something silly with the budget, even when a client didn't pay their rent and then it affects something in the budget, even when those things happen, there's very little of me that is moved. Because I can wake up and I dream up, what can I take from the cupboards now? And that's the day that I make a meal that just goes, bah! Why? Because I just think I've got everything that I needed. And that's why my idea of wealth is not centered in money. It came from a very young girl of, if I have, I'm sharp.
So it's more of an abundance type where you have everything in excess. You have more than you might need at any point.
100%. And it doesn't always have to be in money.
Yeah.
And that's where I realized, and this is where we also teach our kids. If you depend on money, money is a tool. But if you misuse the tool, so what are you then if you misuse the tool? But if you buy and get the things that you want, and you actually create a measure of, again, abundance to your standard. So my encouragement would be, set what your standard looks like with wealth. Create habits that sustain what you look at. Because I'll tell you, there's a friend of mine that even still says, Jen, I tell everybody, you and Taurai have got money. And I went to die 12 ways to Sunday, because I just think, okay, but what does that do for me as a person? How does that build me? Then I'm like, no, but friend, I think you're missing it, because my idea of wealth is looking around me at what I have. In fact, I even chuckle. There's so many of my friends that have bigger houses than me, but guess where they like to congregate? In my house.
Oh, wow.
And then I ask, guys, you'll have got the things for the pots. And I'm just kidding. You guys have got the things that I don't have. So why are we always like coming here? Even the kids like coming to my house. Some of the kids will say, it's holiday. Auntie Jen works from home. Can we go there and we'll be with her kids during the day? And then I look at that and I think, now that for me is wealth. And that's what I like about being wealthy. And I realize we've been wealthy all this time.
So it's abundance that comes with that warmth of a home.
Exactly. And that's what I defined it for me. What does it look like for you? What does it look like for Toboko? What does it look like for your listeners? Because sometimes when we look at all the bold and the beautiful, remember where we started? We look at all of that. This is what we peg as wealth. And I realized afterwards, no, I like the giggles that are in my house. When my daughter and her friend get together, you must hear them. The laughing. Then I think to myself, that warms up my heart. That makes me want to get up and go and bake them cookies from Bernard Smith. Bake them cookies from scratch. Let's make cinnabons from scratch. The dough must rise and all of those 12 things. Yeah. So this is where my concept comes from. And not only because we've achieved what we've achieved, through hard work, sweat and tears, through navigating, through networking, going back to how I shared in the beginning, how I would speak to the babysitting parents, this is what I'm doing. And they eventually connected me and then realizing when we share, that's when we grow. And I think that's the beauty of our friendship, is that when we share, we elevate it and we grow.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Oh, my gosh. You need a Jenna in your life, that's for sure. So what are other ventures that you are involved in us finalizing this discussion?
So there are a number of ventures, and which I'd like to pivot from the next book that I'd like to bless you with. The spirit of giving. I really believe that applied knowledge is power. So we can read, but if we don't apply it, we don't go anywhere, right?
Yes.
So in this book, there's top 10 strategies that work in South Africa. TJ wrote this one while we were on holiday exactly 3 years ago, October. We went to, it was a resort somewhere in the Northwest.
Okay.
And I remember him writing this book saying, Jen, I'm just at the end of this. Can you and the kids go for the game drive? Looking at
so
this
much
person.
For spending time together.
So I'm like, okay, then do you, boo. We will go and do the things for the pots. So nevertheless, I want to bless you with this book, right? Because in there is where I would like to share some of the strategies that we're currently busy. Where we were at that point in our lives, TJ was able to pour himself into that book. But right now we found that business partnerships is what works for us. From starting out as sourcing agents within property investing, we now are conduits of getting those deals for investors that aren't able to go and find those property investing deals.
Wow.
How are we conduits? In two ways. We've connected to a real estate company, which is called Productive Realty. There's agents in there. It's a whole real estate agents business.
Yeah, okay.
So we've connected to them. So these are agents that we've worked with for a long time. They know what the requirements are.
So they're the ones who find the properties for you.
They're one of the channels that find the properties for us.
One of the channels.
The second channel that has really, really blown up recently. Over the last 3 years, yes, we started growing and touching base with them. You know, you're figuring out you're dating. Let's see how this thing is going to go. But lately, it's just really blown up. Is a website called Invest in South Africa Property, or SA Property. And we then found, okay, there's people that go there that are also sourcing agents that upload deals. There's agents that also go there that also because they understand the requirements. So there's a number of people that come into this portal.
So it's some kind of a property stockfile type thing?
No, it's a website that literally, it's a Property 24 for investors. That's an easier way to describe it. But when you get there, you're not going to look at the Property 24 deals. What I like about that particular website, not any Jack and Jill can go onto them.
Okay.
There was a business partnership with them as well. So we started finding strategic business partners that talk to our workflow. And the workflow is twofold. We either sell you property investing deals as sourcing agents, or we talk about business coaching. Because we've long gone just talking about property coaching, what you're going to do with this property. We're talking about young parents that are in property looking for alternative income. And that's how our growth has changed over the way. A couple of years later, I thought, okay, we'll just be a small version of a university. But right now, we've niched out specifically to young people that are either getting married or married, they've got families, and they're looking for alternate income while working. So that niche became very, very clear. And that's when we realized we either conduits to help them from a business concept point of view that's in and around property and any side hustles that they have, or you're looking for a deal, you're an investor, and you've got specific requirements, we'll send you deals on that level. So those are our business partnerships. And there we'll be giving birth to a book sometime soon.
So in other words, like you've reached a point where you just choose what you want to do. Like you wake up and decide, look, today let's start this business. let's hook up with this other one and be a partner. And
I want to say that sounds sexy, but it doesn't pan out that. But you know what is interesting about the conversations is a conversation just like this would spark an idea. And in that spark, we'll go back and say, that sounded interesting. I wonder what it would look like if. And then we play with ideas in the background, like today coming here, I was talking to ChatGPT. I didn't realize I could talk. And we had a fat conversation about the ways of the world. And in that, then you go back to the person where the idea is sparked off. And then you see how best you can leapfrog from there, 100%. And that's how ideas are born. But every day, the everyday stuff is our student accommodations working well? So who are we going to call our partner, which is my student house? Please, could we have the latest reports on what's happening? Why? Because we're paying a management fee to them. What we've also done, we've partnered with them. Why? Because we've seen the business ethic. So now we've just created partnerships that feed into where we're going as a young family and where they're going as a young family, because each of these businesses are investor-led. And the investors, where did we meet them? In the class. Just like me and you, we can just simply meet in the class and not realize our future can come together at a given point and we could create whatever magic from them. And those are the different ventures we're currently busy with, which is why I don't just teach on my own. teaching is just a byproduct. But when it comes to doing things together as business, I like to be far in the background. See how best could I help my family, my husband. How can we pivot? How could we do things differently? He often comes to me and says, Jen, I've got a monkey. And I'm like, I don't want a monkey on my back. He says, I need you to solution this with me. And in fact, just before coming here, that was one of the monkeys. He gave me a monkey. 45 minutes later, he asked for 5 minutes. 45 minutes later, I'm like, it's Saturday. Couldn't this sound sexier for where we are? So this is how different businesses are born. And this is how we pivot daily within our day-to-day business.
Wow, you've done well. And you are my role models. When I grow up, I want to be like you guys. But thank you for your time, for visiting us and teaching us about the ways of how to get to a wealthy space. I really admire that. And yeah, I'm grateful for this opportunity. And I can tell that there's quite a lot more. So I think we're going to have her back here again because we have not spoken property enough, all these other strategies, of course, without giving away everything that is in this book, because you guys must buy these books. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Think Like the Wealthy podcast. My name is Mamo Hau. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.